Putting 5 cameras into one smartphone sounds like the kind of shameless spec stunt you'd expect of a company just trying to make a splash. But cramming that many cameras into one casing carries real convenience, folks. And on paper, the LG V40 is the phone I've always wanted the company to build. On paper. The 3 main reasons to buy the V40 are clustered in the camera module around back. But when you're not using that camera, what's the rest of the phone like? In short, it's a lot like the LG G7, which I reviewed back in the spring. That means you do have to put up with some downsides, the worst of which is this. Smudgy glass is a problem on most modern phones, but for some reason, a different oleophobic coating, maybe, very few get as slimy as LG's. Also, the last Android phone I reviewed was Samsung's Galaxy Note 9, whose metallic heft makes the V40 feel plasticky and lightweight by comparison. That's relevant because the V40 isn't much cheaper than the Note 9. More on this at the end. The phone is lightweight in part because it doesn't push the boundaries on the battery. It's 3,300 mAh, which for a phone with a 6.4-inch Quad HD screen is barely fine. On a travel day, where I used it for mostly email and social media, I ended an 18-hour cycle with just fumes left in the tank. On a shorter 11-hour day, with far greater use of the camera over about 2 hours, I went to bed with just under 20%. This is on the low side of average endurance, but as a consolation prize, the V40 has Quick Charge 3.0, and it can also be juiced up wirelessly, too. The screen is also more vibrant than the G7's thanks to its OLED technology, and other high points from the G7 make the jump, too. The Google Assistant button, complete with a little haptic buzz to cue you when to start talking. The boombox feature to amplify speaker sound when placed on a hard surface. And down at the bottom, the 3.5mm jack connected to a built-in 32-bit Quad Dac. The port also comes in handy for more than just headphones. If you're a vlogger who enjoys the occasional walk and talk, you can plug in a lapel mic like this one, so you don't need to rely on the onboard microphone when there's a lot of background noise going on. Oh, and I've finally gotten used to the offset earpiece, so phone calls are just fine on the V40. So far, we've got a mix of ups and downs, typical of LG phones. But typical isn't going to cut it for a company trying to dig itself out of a rut. So it's betting on its 5-camera play to set the V40 apart. On the front side, this mostly works. The 8-megapixel selfie camera with an 80-degree field of view is augmented by a 5-megapixel shooter with a 90-degree lens for group shots. That means you get sharper selfies when you want them, wider ones when you need them, and 2 cameras also means better portraits. Around back, I love everything the V40 is trying to do for photography. LG has spent years as the only manufacturer to take ultra-wide cameras seriously, and so LG's phones often stay in my pockets long after a review. In fact, that hydrogen car video I shot recently, that was filmed mainly on an LG G7, because that wide-angle camera just gives me so much versatility. The V40 has basically the same wide angle, and LG deserves kudos for correcting my main complaint. Wide-angle videos are now less bumpy, thanks to electronic stabilization. I mean, it's not OIS, but I'll take it. As much as I love wide-angle, there are times when only a telephoto lens will help you get the shot. By offering a telephoto camera alongside its 2 others, LG is the first mainstream manufacturer to come out and say you don't have to choose. You can have all 3 options in the same package. The software is replete with reminders of that too. Long pressing the framing buttons will give you a live view from the 3 main cameras so you can choose which one makes the best picture. And there's a triple shot mode that lets you fire all 3 in quick succession. And the V40 also builds in cinemagraphs, like other manufacturers have been doing for a while. But look, all these things are distractions. The cinemagraph software is finicky. The portrait modes copied from Apple are laughably bad. And every time I've used triple shot, it's been a great way to get 2 really bad photos and 1 kind of okay one. Push past all the gimmicks and start shooting some photos and you come away with, well, 2 kind of okay cameras and 1 pretty good one. Just look at the difference between this shot with the V40's primary camera, which I quite like, and this one, taken with the wide angle, whose colors bear little resemblance to the real thing. Now, there's an argument to be made that this is precisely why you have different cameras packed into the phone, so you can use each one for the circumstances it does its best in. In low light, if you stick to the main camera, you'll be quite happy, thanks to the optical stabilization and the larger sensor size compared to the G7. But I don't just want to take wide-angle shots during the day, you know? I don't know, it just feels like every year LG improves its cameras, and every year it gets so close to being the camera phone to buy. But too much focus is put on gimmicks, rather than perfecting the fundamentals. Maybe that's why the camera is sometimes slow to open, the viewfinder sometimes prone to frustrating freeze-ups, even in my near-final review device. At the end of the day, it's all just a bit too much compromise for what LG is asking. Pushing the boundaries in photography comes at a cost, I get it, but LG wants between $900 and $980 US, depending on carrier. I don't really think the iPhone XS does enough to justify its similar pricing, and that the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 barely makes a case for itself up in that rarefied air. But those phones, whatever you think of them, at least deliver a honed and perfected version of their respective experiences. When I look at the V40, I see an aspirational product with compelling potential. But I don't see the kind of refined, consistent quality that I expect at that price. There is one more silver lining if you're watching this video early enough to pre-order the V40, folks. Those early birds will get a free DJI Osmo Mobile 2 gimbal and a 256 gig micro SD card. That's about $250 worth of kit that might make all the difference for the mobile videographer the V40 is aimed at. Everyone else should wait until the inevitable price drop, which with LG phones usually comes quickly after release. If rumors hold true, this isn't the only phone coming to market with some crazy cameras. Be sure you're subscribed to the Mr. Mobile on YouTube so you don't miss my coverage of those phones, maybe coming soon. And hit me up on Instagram for more samples from the LG V40. Until next time, thanks for watching.